Guys. It is not looking good for MS. I have been playing him non-stop for pretty much all evening last night. I've been playing him all evening today, just trying to make things work with him, and it is not looking good. There's just something wrong with him. I don't know what it is, but he just seems very underwhelming for what he is on paper versus what he's doing in game. One thing that's really concerning is his 4-star weapon is supposed to remove 50% of the enemy shield on Devil Trigger, and it currently does not do that. And, you know, if one thing isn't working, it starts to make you wonder what else is not working with the character. I was gonna maybe wait like a week or two to release, you know, a better video about him once I've had more time and hands-on with him to figure things out. But I can't seem to get him to work. Like, he's just super underwhelming. I can't seem to like him right now. He's a very simplistic hunter with not a lot to offer, and I feel like he should be outputting and doing a lot more work than he is. I'm just gonna, I have this open up, I have a bunch of clips opened up in my video editor, and I'm just gonna scrub through some of the content that I've been doing. So I've done a bit of speed elimination with him, I've done boss raids, Bloody Palace, I've done solo runs, team runs, and I also have proof of his shield passives and weapon passives not actually working with enemy shields. And then there's other technicalities that I want to discuss as well. So bear with me, we're just going to kind of scrub through the videos until I find certain examples of things that he does, and we'll just kind of go into detail as to what the problems are. So I'm just going to, okay, so, well, since we're here, this is his speed elimination footage. So again, completely underwhelming. He just does really low damage. Like, we're just gonna see right off the start here. He does like double-digit numbers. Okay, first problem right away. His shuriken, his reverse shuriken that's supposed to be spinning and home in on the target, look at what it does. It gets stuck. LS is right over here on the right. And for some reason, because the shuriken's hitbox is pretty large, it gets stuck, so it'll stop on its travel path if it touches any other type of collision. So if there's a teammate in the way, if there's another enemy close to you, and you're targeted to someone in the distance, that shuriken is going to stop once it hits another collision. So that's an issue right there in its own. It's really frustrating because let's say you want to attack a conundrum on the other side of the map, and you have this held ready to go. If you release it and there's anything obstructing the line of path to the conundrum, it's going to just stop. Now, I guess the good thing you can look at is this thing, once ranked up, can pull enemies in. So I guess, you know, even though you might have been targeting an enemy in the distance, it's going to pull in all the enemies around you. So that's, I guess it's saving grace, so to speak. But we also run into another issue where, and I'll show a clip of it. Yeah, maybe I'm just going to fast forward here and get to a clip where I can show you an example. But his shuriken, it pulls enemies in, but it does not pull flying enemies downwards. It's one of, yeah, right here. It's one of his worst things. Like, it makes no sense to be able to pull enemies in. And I don't know what's up with this. I've experienced it with some enemies, but some enemies, like especially the Weeping Banshee, will just like get knocked up into the air, and then they're not taking any damage, which is absurd. Like, it seems nonsensical. And then so you have, see, the grouping doesn't make any sense. The pulling effect doesn't make any sense with this character right now, because it doesn't pull flying enemies downwards. You're only hitting enemies on the ground, so you're going to have to end up dealing with the flying enemies anyway separately, which pretty much it's counterproductive. It contradicts the point to pulling enemies into a group. The whole point is to pull them into one spot so you can do area of effect damage to the whole group all at once. But with the way this is designed right now, you're still having to deal with 2 separate groups of enemies, one in the air, one on the ground, rather than it just pulling everyone down to the ground like DE does with his whirlwind. Yeah, really frustrating to deal with. Yeah, see, here's a perfect example. So we release our shuriken on the silver knight here. It pulls in the enemies, which is great, but it doesn't pull the flyers down. Frustrating. So you have to end up dealing with them anyways. Now, a little trick, let's see if I can find it. A little trick that I kind of experimented with here is you can actually get 2 flying shurikens going at once. You can't have 3, but you can have 2 just because of the charge up and the time it takes to actually throw them out. But if you manage your lock-on system manually, you can actually manage to have one going on the ground floor and one going on the top floor at the same time. It's just a lot of work though. It's a lot of unnecessary work and effort for hunters that can do things way more efficiently with a fraction of the effort and the cost, essentially. And this means fiddling with the manual lock-on system, and it's really janky in this game and difficult to deal with. Yeah, so notice how I had one going on the bottom, one going on the top. I just feel like you shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't need to do that. It's too much effort and too much fiddling around with the lock-on system just to get like mediocre results when there's guys like LS who can just wipe this entire field in pretty much seconds. Okay, so aside from that, we're still kind of just going through. So speed elimination, like I said, really underwhelming. Look at the shit damage he does. So if you guys don't know, speed elimination, all the hunters you bring into this mode, it doesn't account for their weapons, their level, or their rank. Every hunter is at a base S rank in this mode. So you're seeing every hunter at their base form of content, and yeah, he's just really weak. His reverse shuriken does decent damage, doing like maybe 250 damage max, but like even just his regular attacks, I mean, this one's decent. His style skill gets you into like the 300, 400. You really only start to see his damage when you go Devil Trigger, and his Devil Trigger burns way too quickly. When you have a character like LS who can activate his doppelganger, which is like effectively duplicating your damage because you have another hunter on the field that's controlled by the computer player, and you can basically have him out infinitely until you rotate LS out for another hunter. It's just underwhelming to see this guy. Most of his power seems to be when he's Devil Triggered, and you just burn through his Devil Trigger so fast, and it takes a while to build it back up as well, which means that MP regen is probably a pretty high priority stat on his cards. But even so, like, I've put a pretty good amount of statted cards on him, and I just struggle to see results with him. But yeah, he's a lot of spam, a lot of one move, and it doesn't do a whole lot. It's extremely underwhelming. And you'll just see here, like, obviously I've got an LS on my team, so we did win more games than we lost, but I mean, this is just proof in the pudding here. Like, it's just low. Like, it's low in comparatively to other hunters. And I don't want to create this narrative where I'm expecting every new hunter to be better than the last. I don't expect that, but I do expect consistency when it comes. I do expect consistency when it comes to investment. When a guy like LS only needs to be like SS and have a 1-star exclusive weapon, and he can dominate and do like crazy amazing things, and then you have a character like MS where you have him with a 4-star weapon at double S rank plus, and he just does so little. Like, I'm gonna go over to HOH Medea here, and like you'll see at the end of my run, comparatively, he just falls so short. Like, this is an SS plus MS with a 4-star weapon. It is not. It takes a lot of resources to get a 4-star weapon that I've been saving up for quite a while, And what an absolute disappointment. I mean, look at the end results here. 28% damage dealt to the boss on class rank 26, almost 27. Beat out by a class 25 CT, almost doubled the damage output. So that's not good at all. And then same with Hellfilth, or same with Nightmare Game. And another thing I want to point out is, like, okay, look at each boss here. So with Nightmare Karis, or sorry, Nightmare, what's this guy's name? Caliber. This one I did okay, but that's because, one, I should be doing okay because I'm 2 class ranks above, and I guess he is using LS, right? And then EJ and CT. So here, not too bad. I don't really know. Maybe these guys weren't, doing what they should do. I don't know. But not too bad there, I guess. But it all depends on who you're playing with and what kind of hunters they're bringing to the table as well. Like, you can see he does decent damage when he's devil triggered. And you gotta remember that when he gets to his EX rank, he increases the ice damage multiplier by like 60%. And that's the multiplier. And I think that's where a lot of his damage was coming from. I was tuned in on one of the streams the night that this guy released to see what his damage kind of looked like maxed. And he was doing about 50,000 per hit, which is really good, but just not good enough when it comes to other characters that aren't even close to being maxed out. So again, performed decently here, 38% compared to 27.5. But this is where things get kind of messed up. It's a known bug. They admitted that you can't. His shit just goes through Hellfilth unless you manually target the head. But yeah, it's bad. Like, how do you release a hunter in this state and not play test it? Like, I don't know. It's pretty lazy on the devs end to know that. Like, you don't. How can you not run it through all the? It took me one evening to run through all the content with him to be able to blatantly see that there's just some things that aren't working. So how do you play test it and then release the hunter asking people for money when you know it's blatantly in this kind of state? Like, you'll see here when he goes into when the boss goes into its down state, you'll see that all his attacks miss. Like, no numbers. You don't see any numbers. Everything's missing. They say manually, so I'm seeing some numbers there, but it just looks like some things are hitting. Most of it's just going right through the boss. So it looks like you gotta lock on to the body almost to start registering some damage. But even if so, look how shit that damage is compared to everybody else. Look at the damage on the left. I mean, I know a lot of it's part of just missing the boss entirely, but still, this is unacceptable. And then in the end, just absolutely abysmal results. 6% damage at class level 26 compared to 24, 24, and 22. So that's a joke. And then what else we got? Bloody Palace. So this is something I haven't really gone over yet. His team play. He kind of works, but he kind of just makes no sense. And I'm glad that I stopped it right here. Because one thing I wanted to point out is I have a really good hunch that this hunter was half-baked, rushed, and there were probably a lot of revisions made to this hunter to get him released in time. And it sucks because we're starting to see it. His style skill is a completely different icon than what he does. His style skill is so shit, probably one of the worst in this game. It's just a 3-hit combo, and I don't even think it does anything. It doesn't apply any buffs. It doesn't do anything beneficial for him. And his icon actually suggests that his style skill should have been what his QTE does. And you'll see that right here. So notice how... Sorry, give me a sec here. Yeah, notice how his icon basically represents his QTE move. So some changes were made at some point to this guy. Revisions were made, things were changed around for whatever reasons, but I think they just dropped the ball entirely. His whole play style doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. He's held back by a ton of technicalities. There are just things that don't work. Like, I don't know why you would make his Shuriken have a collision or stop on any collision during its traveling path. I don't know why you wouldn't pull enemies down from the air like other hunters can do. I don't know why you wouldn't give him a longer devil trigger, or basically an infinite devil trigger as long as you're attacking enemies. Which is weird because it almost makes me think his passive isn't even working. I think do I have it here? Yeah, look. His passives should be giving him MP when he hits his targets. And it should be at a point where you go Devil Trigger, as long as you're hitting enemies with your attacks, you should basically never run out of Devil Trigger. But right now, I almost think that that's not even working either, because he runs out of Devil Trigger so fast, and Devil Trigger is what gives him a lot of his burst damage. And right now, it just seems like that's not working. His 4-star Devil Trigger activation on his weapon doesn't take enemy shields away. I think half this character's passives and his weapon passives aren't even working or intended as working, and that's why we're getting such underwhelming results with him. He was not play tested. He was not. He's just half baked, and I'm convinced half his shit doesn't work because he's just really not that good. In a team environment, he's okay because you can just. So, like I was saying, he's good when he's Devil Triggered, which works well for him in a team environment because you go Devil Trigger, you throw his shit, and he melts people. And then once his Devil Trigger is done, you can swap out and do your rotations again. So that's his saving grace when he's in a team. But when he's alone, you have to deal with that downtime of not having Devil Trigger, and he's just not that great. But then again, I don't think half this character is working as intended. See, that's really my gripe, is like there's like 3 main things that would make him way better than he currently is. 1, make flying enemies get pulled downwards. Make all the enemies group down onto the ground and together. 2, make his Shuriken not, stop its line of trajectory the moment it touches any other form of collision. It just creates such an inconsistent gameplay, especially when you're intending to hit a certain enemy and then it just gets stuck on something, or the worst culprit is when you're in like a co-op raid. I think I have footage of it. And you throw the Shuriken like this. Right here it is hitting the boss. But if there's a co-op partner or a teammate standing in front of you and you throw that Shuriken, it's gonna stop on your teammate and you're not gonna be hitting the boss. And it doesn't pull bosses, so you're just shit out of luck. And you gotta repeat it. So it's technicalities like that are holding this guy back. It shouldn't stop on collisions. It should just go to the enemy and hit the enemy. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is give him Devil Trigger. I don't know if his passive is working where he gets MP back when he hits the target. It says it only has a 1-second cooldown. So every 1 second he should be getting a ton of MP back. I think with all his passives included, he gets something like 45 or 60 MP back when he hits a target, even when Devil Triggered, cooldown 1 second. And every time he hits the target, I'm not seeing that MP regain. So I'm not seeing the MP getting regained, and if it is, it's not enough. His Devil Trigger needs to last a lot longer. And 2, proof, something I haven't showed here yet, is, look, his, right here, we'll go to his 4-star passive and read the description. Look right here. When Mirage Slayer activates Devil Trigger, immediately remove 50% of the target's shield and increase all skill damage by 50%. Now look what we do. I went into a content that isn't going to have like an elemental shield type. Like Bloody Palace is currently electric type. I wanted to go in and verse an enemy that just has a white shield. And the perfect enemy for that is Agatha. So look at this. I lock on. I go Devil Trigger. Absolutely nothing happens to the shield. I even hit just to see if it'll remove the 50%. Nope. I take Devil Trigger off. I hit. I get my Devil Trigger back just to see if it might reactivate. Absolutely nothing. So that right there shows that the 50% shield being removed immediately is not working, and honestly, who knows what the hell else is not working on this character. I'm convinced that there's a lot not working on the character because he just feels extremely underwhelming, and I would not recommend anybody invest in this hunter at the moment. He's a complete waste of resources. In terms of value versus performance, your resources are way better spent on a hunter like LS, Legendary or Legend Seeker Virgil at the moment. The best value and the best hunter in the game currently. So yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm quite disappointed and underwhelmed with this hunter. I wish he was play tested better. I wish they respected the players' time and investment into hunters like this. To have a hunter at double S rank plus and the heavy investment of a 4-star exclusive weapon, he should not be underperforming like this at all. It's inexcusable. You got to keep the investments somewhat consistent across the board. Like I said earlier in the video, I don't expect every new hunter to beat the last. I don't expect every new hunter to be the best in the game, but every hunter should have something that makes them unique, that makes them useful, but their investments should be very similar. You shouldn't have one hunter where you can put in very little investment into them and they completely break the game, and you shouldn't have a hunter that you have to basically invest them to max just to basically get enough out of them, and they still fall completely short to other hunters that you could put in way less. So it's nonsensical. There's a lot of technicalities holding this guy back, and I probably won't make any more videos on him unless they decide to fix him up. So with that being said, appreciate you guys. I'm gonna release a few more videos on him anyways, showing the content that I've ran with him, you know, a few co-op boss raids, Bloody Palace, both like a solo run and a team run. Keep in mind it is currently electric Bloody Palace and I'm using an ice character, so you know, take that with a grain of salt, so to speak. And then I'll probably release some of his speed elimination footage so you guys can check him out, see what he's worth, I guess, in your own mind, and kind of create your own opinions of him. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like. Always reading your guys' comments, and I know a lot of you guys suggest videos. I do see them, and I do try to jot it down and try to get around to things like that. There's a lot of video types that I can make. I'm trying to make the most relevant things for you guys to digest, that's pertinent to the current state of the game. And if there's any kind of news or on if MS is going to be fixed here or not, I will try to keep you guys in the loop and updated. Okay, I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.